everybody tonight. We have Bob Wright and Chris Hales with us tonight, as well as Katie, wherever she went, and of course Pat. How are you?
Quite good, well. Thanks, very good. Thank you for having us, Tim.
Yeah. Thank you for being with us. We were talking before the show and the intros and everything else, and what we were discussing is the One People's Trust, and I had concerns about the bonds and oaths that I'm seeing as to actual allegiance, which is part of my process is walking away from any form of other unnatural father or parenting figure or anything else. And one of my concerns was that the oath was actually taken to the United States of America, which is subscribing or subjecting under a constitutional theory to be the res and a thing. And I really like what I see as being presented. However, the United States of America is a style that was created by the League of Nations. The League of Nations was the confederacy between the 13 original colonies, Congress, the representation of the people, as well as now everybody knows about Geneva 28, Geneva 20, Geneva 8, and these are under the rules of war. Yep. The switchboard is acting up. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. We were discussing the One People's Trust and my concerns. I mean, I love what you guys are doing. I love the intent. But as I said, even you've got the World Court, the International Court of Permanent Justice, it is still maintained and run by the League of Nations.
Well, this is great. That's Pat. Looks like Tammy is popping in and out, dropping off and back in. Any minute now.
Hello, hi.
You're there, Tony. Finally. I've been getting kicked left, right, and center here. Holy smokes!
Scene.
Oh my God, Pat. We got. I know we got Bob and Chris, and I know we have Tony, and we got you, Pat. Yeah.
Yes, I think.
And Tammy's back too. I've got the board open here, so I'm keeping a sharp eye on it. Yeah, you guys were getting pinged left, right, and center. So this is worse than usual, guys. So ready for a fun night, eh?
Yeesh. Yoo-hoo!
Anyway, Bob, Chris, Tony, Pat, Tammy, how are you all doing?
I'm finally back. I don't know for how long.
Positive energy.
Yeah, you're on now, and that's it, done.
That's good.
So take her away, my friend. Oh, Bob got muted out there.
Okay. Tammy, might be an idea to start with some information from you. You were telling me some interesting stuff that's been happening recently. Is that a good place to start?
She just got knocked off again.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. Now we have I guess Chris Hale. There we go. Okay. Oh my gosh. Where are we here? Oh, this is nuts. This is absolutely maddening. Oh, no sooner does Tammy get on, she gets whacked right off.
Yeah, that's...
No, I'm watching it in time here. She shows up, show continues, and bam. Okay, now, and there's Bob got knocked off.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Can you guys hear me?
There you are. Yeah, got you now.
Okay, I'm here.
Yeah, sorry, Chris. This is like crazier than usual, so hang on for the ride. I keep on muting Bob, and something keeps muting him.
Yeah, he's aware of it.
Okay. No, on the board.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I know, but he's...
Nobody's doing this. This is the point I'm saying. No, none of us are doing this. I'm watching this board like somebody else is taking control of it.
Kind of looks that way. I'm on the phone now. Hopefully this will be a better connection. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. You're good there, kiddo. So carry on.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yep. We got everybody.
Okay.
Yep. Loud and clear.
Okay. Now, what we were doing before the show even started was I'd been conversing with Chris and Bob, and we were talking about the bonds and oaths that they're taking to the United States of America. Now, that one, when you're submitting yourself or subjecting under a constitutional theory, then those amounts anyway belong to your owners, of course, because you're on a farm. And so what we need to do is what I would do is I would fix a trust and then go after the appropriate entities, not in vain, but by evidencing their crimes. And what happens after you evidence the crimes that have been occurring is you'd want to tap on risk management, which is their employers, because under their employment policy, the policy is ecclesiastical law. And so you want to invoke that policy and tap on their insurance a little bit, because you don't want just a small stipend of these things based on their criminality. My whole system's this is just hilarious today. I have no idea if you guys
well, Tammy,
anything else.
Tammy, can you hear me?
Yeah, and what I will ask everyone, I like to say at the start of the show, if you're not talking, please mute out, because background noise is very distracting. Okay, so carry on, Bob.
Okay, when you look at the filings themselves, you're going to notice that the wording is a little bit different than a lot of other legal filings that you might find. In a lot of cases, they're going in as three people. They'll say that I am Heather Ann Tucci Giraffe, the lifeblood woman, living natural person, bond servant, and so forth and so forth. Because what is being reflected here is multiple different aspects of the being. Now you have the living being, okay? The living being, which is contracted and a bondservant to the Creator. And as a bondservant to the Creator, you cannot be a bondservant to anyone else. Do you understand? So at that point, from that position, okay, you're not even under ecclesiastical law, you're under natural law or universal law.
Which is ecclesiastical law. You need to go to Black's Dictionary. And natural person, only a natural person can be a surety. And what you're dealing with is these surety bonds. From the time that you're given from King William I, the separation of the spiritual and the temporal, to the bishop.
Wait. Let me ask you one question, Tammy. Where does ecclesiastical law come from?
From the House of Lords. And what you're looking at is
wait. Keep going back. And where do the House of Lords come from? They're created entities. They're all created entities. And they're all corporate entities.
But I don't want you to argue with me that these things exist. We know these things exist.
No argument that they exist.
You brought up,
guys, could I Bali, just hang on a sec there. Can I just introduce the sequence of events that we're actually discussing to try and get it into context because we've jumped straight into a spiritual and, if you like, factual argument, which I think should come much later in the conversation. So if you don't mind, if I can just spend a couple of minutes going through the sequence of events that these filings represent, because the UCC filings are in a sequence and it's additive. The effects are additive through the sequence. And I'd like to go back to the...
Okay, but first you have to pause there. Now, you said that you're coming in and you're filing these documents as natural persons. Only a natural person can be a surety. So automatically you're subscribing as the surety. Under UCC, you're subscribing under Uniform Commercial Code, which is the law merchant. The law merchant stems from the Negotiable Instrument Act. Before that, it was called the law merchant. All you're doing is purchasing your rights and benefits through this entity, which is Uniform Commercial Code. It's generating revenue to the League of Nations, who you're subscribing to, by maintaining that you're a resident or citizen of the United States of America.
Okay.
Now, I can help you correct these documents We can help you rewrite what you need to rewrite. But we don't want to put out over the air any amount of indoctrination at all. This is not what my program is. My program is about leaving the farm. The entire process is about leaving the farm, and I can help you do that. But what you do not want to do is leave a false impression or have a bunch of followers following something and subscribing as a natural person, which is a surety. Only a natural person can be a surety. And you don't want to subscribe under the United States of America, which is just a style maintained by the Articles of Confederation, which is the annex to the League of Nations Covenant of 1924.
Okay.
Let me just jump in just for a second,
Yep.
guys. I want to set the tone here. I want this to be a beautiful thing. What Tammy, as I said to you guys before, what Tammy can bring to the table is this is not about defending positions. This is about seeing how we put these pieces together to make something completely infallible. Okay, that's what the purpose of this is. That's what Tammy's show, Leaving the Farm, is about. That's what I'm all about anyway. I mean, I slam dunked the Vatican almost a year and a half. Well, just over a year ago now with the Denic Ultimatum, completely exposing Unum Sanctum and all the rest of the crap that goes with it. So what I want you guys to all keep in mind is what you can both bring to the table are some very powerful tools, and let's see how they mesh so that we can power these things up. You know, because we don't want anyone getting hurt, right?
Hell no,
Right.
we're actually on the same team here.
Yeah, I know. That's what I really want to get that point across tonight, because what Tammy can bring to your table is bulletproofing and certain wording and certain things that have to occur. And, you know, just bear with me. I'm right.
Okay.
This is about get it together and let's make this thing work. Fair?
Sure.
Excellent.
Okay, Tammy. There's just
Yes?
a couple of things I need to point you to, for two reasons. One, neither Bob nor I wrote these documents. Okay. Neither Bob nor I are high-level UCC functionaries. They were written by someone who's not in this conversation. Now, if that person was here, she could actually speak to your concerns directly. I can only speak to them. I can only speak to them indirectly,
Right.
just so the audience.
If there's an attorney in the midst, the attorney will stick whatever they need to do and send in, you know, the people that are following the attorney. This is part and parcel of low-intensity conflict. And I'm sorry, I'm not calling you an idiot, but it's actually maintained as a useful idiot doctrine. And what happens is the attorney will take backseat, and they'll have paralegals or whatever come on shows and programs to tout their product or whatever they're selling. And it's an embarrassment to you. It's an embarrassment to me. And the attorney, you know, they're back there laughing. And so whatever she's going to do, she's going to do. But tonight, you know, I want to set the record straight on who's following who, why we're following this individual or that individual, and what these products that they're offering are. Now, when an attorney is offering a product, you need to really delve into that product and make sure that it's something that's safe for you. Most likely, it's not, because the attorney, and this is something so integral for everybody to understand, is that only the natural person can be the surety. With that word in that document and you submitting as a natural person, you are submitting to being a surety. A surety is purchased by attorneys from the sheriff. The sheriff gets the surety bonds and the human being by separation of the spiritual and temporal. It was a proclamation. Everything we're under right now is under commission of the House of Lords. This is not only a corporate governance, this is a commission government. It started in 1802 with the Indemnification Convention. You are the thing indemnified. That means you're promising to pay for all the damage that they've experienced by human trafficking. You're the thing being human trafficked. And so what you want to do is you either want to pull out of the OPT and get away from the attorney, or you want to fix what's broken by the attorney. Attorneys do not have your best interest in mind. To refer means to go to another landlord. They take an oath to the Bar Association. They don't take an oath to you. They are not a citizen. They are not a resident of any place. They belong to the bar. Their function is to generate revenue.
Just to make a clarification, Tammy, Heather is no longer an attorney. She was an attorney. She did return her bar card. So she's not a member of the bar anymore. As that was part of the procedure of what she did. Right,
and this is part of the hegemonic influence that they have going on in the United States right now. They're saying that Obama is not a citizen because of a birth certificate or whatever. Obama is an attorney. An attorney takes an oath, swears an oath to the bar. And in that oath, they say, I demean myself as an attorney, blah, blah, blah. To demean means of myself I give. It's 3 words, Damien. Now, she can send her bar card back. You can get disbarred. Obama can be disbarred because he's the president now, but he's still an attorney. He did not take an oath going away from the Bar Association, expatriation, and he did not take an oath coming back to any other patriotic state. Okay? She is still demeaned to the bar.
Tammy, we can't answer that. The only thing we can do, if you want to have a discussion at this level and from your perspective, you need to have that with Heather Tucci Giraffe and not with Bob and I.
Right. And what had happened is we've been inviting Heather onto the show. She did not want to join us. She threw you in here. And so I'm holding my tongue. I'm holding my temper. I'm being very, very kind. If she was on here, it would not be this way. So you are getting way tonight because I know that you're just representation for the representation. However, I would have preferred to speak to her one-on-one.
Well, I'll bring that to her attention and encourage her to do so.
The one thing
the only thing we can do, the only thing I can point out to you at this point in time is that you have to read the whole set of filings in detail because of their additive nature. The trust and the bonds that they actually took, the purpose of taking them was to actually resume the original public trust aspect of the American Constitution, and that's all it was intended to do, which in subsequent filings they reshaped what that trust actually was and included all the people on the planet and the rest of the planet and the Creator into the trust.
Are you aware of where the trusts are at this moment in time? What are they called? The Syncrenicity Trust.
No, the Syncrenicity trusts have been collapsed by the actions of the One People's Public Trust.
Okay, but what I've seen now, what trust did you collapse? Are you aware that they're called the Massachusetts Land Trust, and they're under the original 13 colonies? So
are you referring to? You mentioned. Are you referring to the Syncrenicity Trust, or are you referring to the public trust?
I'm referring to the Syncrenicity Trust, and what you need to understand is that full faith and credit is you. That is not a trust. You were pledged and charged by the League of Nations in Article 12 of the Articles of Confederation. That was full faith and credit called trust. Now the Syncrenicity Trust, the Syncrenicity Trust, are called the Massachusetts Land Trust. They were established by the League of Nations. Okay, so whatever she told you that they've been collapsing is not collapsed, as you can see, because according to the original Constitution, the actual Constitution, which goes from Article 1 through Article 1, Section 9, Clause 3. Clause 3 says, no bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. That maintains that that is the end of the document, and everything after that is commentary. Okay? The League of Nations came in 1777, October 15, 1777, and they established the Articles of Confederation to abrogate their contract that they had with us under that Constitution. It was a contract. Under that contract, on Article 1, Section 8, Clauses 1 and 2, the United States of being, all lowercase before it was capitalized upon, is to be maintained and kept on public or general welfare. Now, what had happened was the League of Nations came in and they started taxing you and everything else to the benefit of the first and second welfare theorem, which is corporate welfare maintenance. Okay, so all of your productivity, your debenture, your GDP, you are the gross domestic product, you're maintaining corporate welfare under this structure, and you have been since October 15, 1777.
Tammy, can I ask? I have a question. And this is now, again, I'm not a lawyer, but maybe you could answer this. If you were to get married, right, and you had it, the legal contract, it was all signed, sealed, and then you got separated and found someone else and got married again. If the first marriage was not severed, there was no divorce, is the second marriage valid?
Absolutely not. And once a contract is abrogated, it's abrogated.
Okay.
And you're under the action of privateering or piracy.
You're
not holding them responsible for this.
Okay. Now, but wait. If there was a previous contract, or if the being was bound to the Creator previously, then any contract thereafter is invalid.
Absolutely. And what you're not doing is holding them accountable. You're actually criminalizing yourself, because when you do a UCC claim, you have not obliterated the original stock, which is the first, middle, last name maintained by the United States Incorporated through acts of enablement stemming from the 1802 Indemnification Convention. Now, going back to marriage and
wait,
your concept.
I didn't quite understand that. If I am bound to my Creator, then any bond thereafter is invalid. The primary holder, in this case being the Creator, has a superior claim to my being.
Have you made that claim as the executor of your estate?
Yes.
Have you obliterated the stock?
Have I obliterated which stock?
The stock.
The stock of myself? My own
energy?
energy? Because it's basically based on energy. It's not based on my corporal being. It's based on the energy in that which I produce. It's based on my DNA. It's based on my essence, my beingness. Okay?
Absolutely.
So that is bonded to the Creator. First and primary lien title holder, owns the patent. He's the one. Any subsequent agreement without collapsing that first one is invalid.
Absolutely. However, what you're doing is you're attacking something that is not the primary holder of the patent. Patentability came from letter stand.
Who is the primary holder of this patent? Of my being?
Well, I can tell you right now that God is not a patent holder. The landlord is a patent holder on that name. And
the creator of the product is the patent holder, the one who created it.
Okay, have you gone to the 1790 Patent Act, maintaining that if they change the patent, there's a patent
I believe
holder?
the patent happened before 1790.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you need to be aware of what you're doing. You're claiming the last name, correct? So when you write your name out, you write first, middle, last name, correct?
No, I'm not claiming a last name. I'm claiming myself as a being bonded to the Creator.
With that last name. Now, you have been
No. My body, my corporal body, the manifestation, may have a label or a name on it, but I am not my body.
Right. So the last name is called a family name because it indicates a genus or species, a family of a human being. It's a subspecies of human being. That is the ability to patent you, the object. Now, if I give you a last name and I say that you are John Smith, I am indicating that you're a blacksmith or a silversmith. I hold the patent on that last name because I'm the one that's calling you a new subspecies of human. Now, you need to be aware of these things. And look in black spots right there under cognizance. Cognizance is created by the development of an ego or character. And this is the psychological influence upon you. Now, what you're claiming, you're not claiming anything under this OPT trust, as far as I can tell, because you're maintaining under the patented name. That does belong to somebody because somebody owns it and gave it to you. They taught you to be patriotic to it.
I can hear you.
Hello? No, I was muted. Somebody muted me out.
Sorry about that. It's just switchboard. When you are subscribing, and this means to underwrite, subscribe, you are invoking the insurance policy. Underwriting. This goes all the way back to forever, and right now it's maintained at the House of Lords. You're your own broker. You're the one brokering your res, left and right, side to side, up and down. And what you're doing is you're maintaining as the creditor and the debtor because you're still asking them to give you something. Asking them to give you something means that you're subscribing to the patented last name. You are subscribing to a benefit of this. And when you take an oath and maintain that you're a resident or res, a thing, of the United States of America, which is a style maintained by the League of Nations, you are actually invoking your right to abstain the right to be an heir by accepting a benefit, or vice versa. If you're claiming a right, you're abstaining your benefit under the doctrine of election.
See, now I've read through the actual filings, but I've never seen anywhere where they say that they're a resident of any place.
Bob, that's an assumed. Here, I'll jump in here for a sec, try to clarify a few points. What Tammy's getting at is let me make one thing very clear here. This is not about trying to shred something. What this is about is trying to take this Pinto is trying to run in the Daytona 500 and putting a real into it.
Oh, Kate, you're breaking up there.
Okay.
There's a little bit of overlap or something there.
Could have been. Anyway, the bottom line, very simply, is this: what Tammy is bringing to the table is pointing out the very things that are going to entrap people, and I'm talking unknowingly, because this whole system, whether you like it or not, or whether you think you're creator or not, is all based on assumption, presumption. And that's what, I mean, you need to spend a whole shit pile of time in a Black's Law dictionary to start pulling out the real things. You know, like, and I'm going back to Edward Longshanks here as well in terms of the original bonds and the original contracts when they kicked the Jews out of England, because that was all assumed by the Crown. We can get into all sorts of things there too, but it's not about defending, hang on a sec, Bob, this is not about defending either position, okay? This is about saying, okay, you've done this, okay, well, we know there's an issue there, so we can help correct that. Are you interested? If not, well, there you go. But if you are, can we work together and see what we can pull out? Because I'll tell you right now, when someone has LLC...
I'm trying to understand. She's using a lot of terminology that I'm not really familiar with, and I'm trying to understand how, if I was bonded to the Creator, how was that bond ever collapsed?
Because it was done by consent. Have you ever used ferns in your life?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's done by assumed consent because I was an infant at the time.
Doesn't matter. We all were, Bob. This is the point.
Yeah.
This is the point we're trying to get. It's not about that. It's not about going, well, it's so and so's fault. No, this is the facts are the facts. We were born into bondage, basically. Well, for much longer, but the real paper version was 1933. Okay, and what Tammy can bring is the undermining of all that, because there was a drip by drip process, and I went through it all. This has been my focus from day one. Like, Tammy is bang on the money. I'm telling you that, and I know I'm very well versed legally, very well versed. And I look to someone like Tammy going, I can learn a shit pile, and she brings a lot of things to the table that can work with what you guys are doing. And what we need to do is take these documents and make them actually work. The only other question I do have is, why would somebody who is not, is claiming to be creator, I'm talking about Heather in particular here, why would they have LLC attached to them? You see, because that instantaneously sends up major flares for me with UCC, Admiralty, Lex Mercentorium. I mean, I can go all through it. It's a limited liability corpse oration. Okay, it's still a corporation.
I must be reading a different. I've never seen.
I've read
through. Okay, on her email, but I'm talking about in the filings. There is no LLC used.
I'm all over the place.
No, on my that was on my end here. Don't worry about it. Anyway, the simple fact: if you have LLC attached to anything that you're attached to, it becomes a default with it. It's an assumed. It's how the system works. We hate it. It's completely wrong, but it's how it is, and we're trying to get rid of that. And I agree with you in terms of the Creator. I'll tell you. I'll give you a real life scenario. I'll tell you who God is. One night, February 11th, a year ago, God was the guy standing with a 9mm pointed at my face. Okay, that's what God is. Because that's me too, right? That's a reflection. I'm looking at myself here. So, what we're trying to do is, play the 3D and 5D game at the same time, and this is what we're bringing together and showing you, and learning. This is a learning curve for me too, right? But it's about taking the onus of saying, okay, well, I haven't seen a twinkling of an eye yet, because things will change in the twinkling of an eye, and when the right thing is done, the whole system comes down and everything's exposed. That hasn't happened yet. So there have been no, quote, miracles, unquote. What there has been is a very beautiful intent by a great many people. Now we're talking Creator. I have no question of the intent about taking the system down and, making this planet the abundant place that it is. Absolutely. We're all on the same page there. It's how we go about it, because these are tricky bastards we're dealing with, and what we're doing is unraveling their sweater, and we're at the point of the neck right now with a little noose made, and all we got to do is give it a pull, and that's what we're here to do tonight.
So
I'm in.
Now, what's happening is you're being averted. I know that you hear about averment, whatever. These are positive statements. Positive statements are not actions. They don't go anywhere. And so an attorney is going to feed you a whole bunch of crap. That's averment. They just feed you crap. It doesn't do anything. They're not going to win for you, but they'll give you lots and lots of ego stroking. Okay? Now, when you're subscribing as a citizen or res is a thing of the United States of America, you are subjecting yourself to them. That means that you are a subject. And a lot of people are not aware that subjectation means subject. You are subject to the duties and under their Constitution. Now, in the documents that I'm reading right now on the One People's Trust, you're subjecting under the United States of America Constitution. Now, the United States of America was not a name or a style, which is a chain of events, S-T-I-L-E. That's a chain of events. This is the Articles of Confederation is the annex to the League of Nations Covenant. Okay, so here's a thing. It's not a place. It's not a location. It's not anything other than a style, a chain of events. Now, in that chain of events, that's how you entered into servitude. Congress was to be representing the prison colonies here. They had deployed all of the prisoners, psychologically defunct human beings, on a populace, and their only function was to maintain enough laws to make it so that they could live in a healthy human society. Not in a natural state, according to the treaties on the nature, human nature. Not in an otherwise indoctrinated state of patriotism to something. They were to be maintaining humanity after everybody got out of the prison colonies and were deployed on the rest of the populace. Now, as you know from here today, seeing what's happening with recidivism and catch and release and everything else, criminal minds are created by a criminal system. Now, if you're vilified and told that you're bad all through school, you're going to react to that. You're going to start reacting. And the moment you're reacting, what if somebody stuck you in juvenile justice or in and out of the prison system and just started festering that, festering the mind, telling you you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you've done so much wrong, and then it released you at the end of this indoctrination program or juvenile justice program. These are programming techniques. and they let you loose upon the rest of the populace, what would happen? The same thing that we're running into today. Okay?
Okay, Tammy, can you tell me which line you're referring to? What would need to be changed?
Everything. When you're subscribing under UCC, Uniform Commercial Code is the law merchant. It is the thing that's selling you rights and benefits. UCC stems right out of the Negotiable Instruments Act. You are the negotiable instrument. This is how you are negotiated. And going back to your example earlier about a female being married, when she marries, she contracts with the state. Okay, that's what a marriage license is. She draws an easement through her estate, her body, her being. In that easement, she's got a contract over here, she's got a contract over here, she's got a contract over here. If she gets divorced, she's not repudiated, she's divorced from the male. So the male still gets to be held responsible for her liabilities. Okay? The male is actually the vi. The life, the other life, the life that measures. The female is the use. She's constantly attached to you because you get a divorce or whatever else, but it never disassociates you at all from that female. She's the use. Okay, that's what the Federal Reserve is. A reserve is a reservation on rights. The female is deposited. I'm deposited into the Federal Reserve by appearing in front of a bench or bank as a special deposit. At this time, I can be turned into a commercial instrument, commercial paper, negotiable instrument. Under the law, the court process is called negotiarum gestio. An attorney is called the negotiarum gestor. These people negotiate you. This is human trafficking. Okay? So we need to get out of these mindsets of subscribing, submitting, prescribing, superscribing, inscribing. You know, we're going to be our own writers here. And to do that, you're not going to have an attorney representing you. Their only function is to represent you or present you another way. They are here to negotiate you with your title holder, which is the judge. The judge is your executor. The judge is the trustee already. And they get that position by consent. You appear in front of them and ask it to do things. You're asking them to be the executor. You're submitting to their authority by asking it to do things. Now, in my process, we don't go into court. We direct the court from the outside. We don't ever appear as a special deposit. And we certainly never, ever, ever answer a summons. Now, the practice of
nor do we. I don't recommend anybody going into court, and I don't contract with them that way.
Absolutely. You know, if you receive a summon, what is a summon? The practice of magic is to conjure something. Conjure means with law. To summon something, you're summoning only the dead. If you answer a summon, what are you saying? You are saying that you are deceased or the decedent. Now, you got this opportunity, and you actually celebrate it every July 4th, stemming from 1776, with the declaration of your descendancy. You are decedent. You are independent. They declared you in a pending state. This is called a Bill of Reviver, stemming from the Cesare Cavi Act. This is how you're declared dead. You keep holding on to that last name. Use the proper name. Now, in all of our cases, I've not been overruled. And the funnest case we had this year was stemming from this fall, where we told the attorneys, don't post me, stemming from the 1794 Treaty of Amity, Commerce, and Navigation. You're being posted by assuming and using that last name. Every time somebody mails you something, you're assuming a fiction. That last name is a fiction. Your proper name, the first and middle, is not the fiction. And it says this in 18 U.S.C. 1342. You're being held a felon for using that last name. So you need to pay all these monies back because apparently you're a felon. Now, you assume that these are coincidences. Your wife leaves you, your neighbor falsely accuses you of child abuse, your aunt decides to sue you for some reason. No, this is all based on ego, and it's all based on subscription. You're always being underwritten. All it takes is somebody to poke on you to indicate that what you need to do next. Everybody that's subscribing to the name, to the fiction, to these constitutional theories under Babylonian theory, you're predictable. You're absolutely predictable based on your name. And Plato spoke about this, and Catullus. He says, tell me your name and I'll tell you where you come from. Well, I can do the same thing. It's not psychic ability, it's human predictability based on a set of influences or indoctrination that everybody's gone through. And now we're to the point where we're being programmed. Television programming is the easiest way to maintain a populace in a certain predetermined manner. Now, you have, I can name three offhand. If you want to maintain a national state, you would put programming on a broadcast called National Broadcast Corporation. If you want to maintain American citizens, you would maintain them under a programming issued by the American Broadcast System. If you want to make them sheeple and make sure that they're under organizational psychology, you would allow them to watch corporate or commercial broadcast corporation. This is television programming. You are being programmed just like any other computer because they hold the on and off switch. The on and off switch is your human potential. And if you're subscribing to a name, you're always striving to be. You don't know that you are already.
Tammy, this is the point I'm saying. For me personally, and I've been studying through about 20 years now. For me, I don't need to file any paperwork. I can stand on my own. I know exactly what I have to say. I am, because what it means when you say you have an unalienable right, a right is something that cannot be given, cannot be taken away. It exists because you exist. And that is written and understood on every continent of the planet. That's a right. When you stand in your right, and your right to being, all you need to identify yourself as I am. And that's it.
Do you need an identity? Because the ID is created.
You don't need an identity. As far as law is concerned, the UCC filings aren't even necessary if people knew how to stand in their space. It's not necessary because your rights are unalienable. They can't be given, they can't be taken away. You just need to know how to exercise them.
Okay,
none of this paperwork is even necessary.
Right.
But it is there. It is
filing it.
Huh? It is there for the record, for the public record, and no more. And the UCC was used as a registration. And all anybody needs to say is, I am one of the people.
Okay, but you're not getting the actual aspect and how big this is. You're claiming UCC, which is only going to cover the derivatives off of your human back.
As far as the UCC is concerned, all that is a public record. It's a public record that's unrebutted. And if they choose to, they could go through those filings and pick apart and rebut them with particularity and specificity.
They'll be rebutted. I've not come across
I invite them. We have invited them.
for making a claim on UCC filings.
I understand. We've invited them. Please.
No.
Somebody rebut.
You need to stop here, because I'm the one that gets to clean up the messes when people are claiming UCC1 filings and A4Bs. They come to me after they're made felons. Now, if you want to see anger, then keep touting the UCC filings. I'm trying to tell you that it's a joke. You're being walked to the slaughter by an attorney. Now, I'm the one that's out here cleaning up these messes as human beings are being trafficked. They're being charged for doing these things, and it will stop. I am indicting them, but I'm only one person. Now, these attorneys that are touting this shit are putting people in jail. They're putting people in prison because that's what attorneys do. They get compensated for this. They generate revenue.
If you've listened to us, all we've told you, all you have to do is be.
Okay, then you need to...
All you have to do is be.
And take away the UCC filings, because from what I'm hearing, you are teaching this. Now, this is what pissed Jesus off, okay? Jesus, when he was at the wedding and the disciples came and some gurus came and they said, well, you're just mad at us because we didn't bring any bread. He said, what the fuck? I'm not mad at you because you brought bread that time and that time and that time before. I'm pissed because of the doctrines that you teach. Now, here you are teaching others to maintain under UCC filings. I am telling you that they are horrifying. They are getting people placed in prison. They are putting people into servitude. And I was being nice until you started spouting shit again. Now, what we're not going to do on this program is to indoctrinate or teach people to do things that get them put in prison.
You know what? I have to jump in there. I'm actually in total agreement because, you know, I know who I am, and that didn't mean a hill of beans of difference when the SWAT raided my house, and I'm going to tell you that right now, and the system knew who I was, and I didn't do any UCC filing, and I know how dangerous it is because I have helped people out of it, and it is. That was the biggest radar that went off. There are ways to do this, and I know if we can get Heather and Tammy hooked up, if Heather is genuine, then this can get resolved and put together properly. But as it stands right now, there are a lot of people, desperate people, that are filled with hope seeing this. Again, the intent is beautiful.
Okay.
You know,
what I would say
sure.
is when the CVAC becomes activated and people can see the value, then they will understand it's real. But for some people, it's going to take that. I understand, and that's fine. You know, I'm not, one of those people who is naive to the malevolence of what's in front of us. You know, I'm a gay black man in the United States. I know what oppression is. I've been directly attacked by them. Wait. Let me finish. I myself have been directly attacked and been put in a wheelchair by them. I know what I'm fighting. And I'm telling you, it's over.
Absolutely, but not the way that the OPT is doing it.
Hey, Bob, we're agreeing on the ethereal side, no question. All right, so let's get that straight. We cannot assume, ever, that people, the average desperate individual that's looking for some form of hope that hasn't done the work that we've done, you cannot expect them to file something or send in a courtesy notice, regardless of what it is, and expect them to know what it is and how to stand. Yeah, Bob, I know you can handle yourself. I can handle myself. Tammy can. Tony, Pat, we can all handle ourselves. We're in a different league because we've done the work and we've lived the experience. What we're talking about, and I will speak for others here, because I know we don't want anyone to get harmed, and that's exactly what can occur. And I've seen UCC filings come back to people having seen, I'm talking large checks written by the United States Treasury to these people, and within a year they're asking for it back, and it's not a pretty sight.
Again,
that's all UCC
for
stuff,
those for those who are watching and listening, and they want to, if what it takes is for them to have something to feel comfortable stepping into. Okay, that's what the CVAC is for.
Because that's what these folks
so that there would be real value, and if you want, you pay your mortgage. If they want fiat money, then pay it. It will be enough there for you. And if you need to wait for that and to see it, then wait and see it. You'll still be invited. It doesn't matter.
Okay, now what you're doing and presenting to the people is the action of what's known as cognitive dissonance. And it's facilitated by offering somebody an illusion of something comfortable or a new room, which is matrix, and expecting them to fall back on another daddy when it fails. Now, what I'm here for, and the reason we're having you on the show, is that I'm telling you, OPT is a failure. I do not want hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people to fall down on their faces when OPT fails because they're claiming UCC filing. They're claiming to be citizens of the United States of America, which is the same republic or representation of humanity as it was in the beginning. Now, even you, at the beginning of this conversation, you said, I didn't write those things. I didn't have anything to do with that. Okay, so it takes away your culpability. That's great. Don't tout something that you do not know what it says, what it is, or what its intent is.
Tammy, have you read them?
I've read a lot of them.
Have you
read any of them.
Have you read all of the filings?
I didn't need to. Do you know what they say?
I did. I went through all of them.
Because now you are acting as a useful idiot, and you're maintaining a claim that this thing is good without realizing what it says or what its intention is.
I see the intention, and everyone's got to find what resonates with them, and this is another thing. And if you don't feel that it's real, then it's not real. But that's for you to decide. For me, I know I know where it's going, and I've already spoken to a lot of the people at the top. I've spoken to the owner of the Bank of International Settlements. I've spoken to a lot of the people, and they know it's real.
And you have these amounts in your hand, and the Pope is right now in Gitmo, right?
The Pope? There's a reason why the Pope. There's a reason why the Pope stepped down, and many others, and a lot of it has to do with what is going on with the people.
Absolutely, but not OPT because it doesn't have any force or effect. Now, when you're speaking about these illegal contracts called mortgages, they mean dead pledges. If you read your own mortgage, you'll find a borrower's covenant in there. It's an illegal contract. You cannot enter yourself into prostitution and then enforce that contract. Now,
the reason why I think
given by an attorney.
I think the reason why the UCC was used because it started with the Paradigm Report. She was actually hired to investigate some of the activities that were going on with the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac papers. She was literally an attorney working with the UCC. And that Paradigm Report, if you read the Paradigm Report, it documented over 23,000, I believe, of those illegal foreclosures. And the end of the report, it basically came out and said, no money was ever loaned, no loans were ever given, this is a huge fraud, this is systemic in nature. The system must go. Now, because it was a UCC internal investigation, that filing was used as the foundation of the start of their filings. And when you read, and that's what one of the things I think Chris wanted to go through was the process and how they were layered. But I'm not going to go in through the whole, because we're on the same side. And all I can say is we're all going to get there. There is a paradigm shift happening. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And all of us, every human being on this planet, has a responsibility for what's happened here because we allow it. It was our consent. We are not guiltless in this whole scenario. We allowed it to happen. Therefore, all of us are responsible.
You're still being patriotic.
For ending it.
You're calling something else your father. Heather's bond is on One People's Trust. She's swearing an oath to the United States of America. Okay? She's swearing an oath to the League of Nations, the same people who are trafficking you now. She's an attorney. She subscribed you as a natural person. She's an attorney. She knows what a surety bond is. She purchases them. Okay? Now, this is no joke. This is not funny to me. I don't enjoy arguing. I don't enjoy being angry or upset. I don't enjoy at all human trafficking. And this is just another means of human trafficking if it's not stopped now and corrected to be what it should be or what you believe its intent is, that's sold to you by another law merchant, which is an attorney. Now, what we have to do here is we have to all be on the same page and realize the harm that can occur by thousands of people following this thing.
The harm has been going on for a long time, Tammy. And
it doesn't make it right to continue it.
Yeah, and I agree. And I agree it's going to end. And
it can end if you're
OPPT is only part of it. And I believe it's a big part of it. It's playing a big major role in it. But everyone has to decide for themselves, like I said. Right. And I understand you're very passionate about what you do.
And if anybody needs a copy of Black's Law Dictionary, just add me to your Skype, and I'll be able to share that with you. You need to go through these trustees, bonds, and oaths of the OPT. You need to go through these filings. You need to learn what UCC is.
I would invite everyone, please read through them. Read through all of them.
And what you need to look out for is subscription or subjection. And for an example, in Heather's bond here, I just pulled that up. It maintains I, Heather Antucci Jarrah, I am a life and blood woman, living, a natural person, which is a surety, one of the one people, now and then, non-proton, domiciled by choice on state of Washington, the United States of America. There are original organic venues and jurisdictions of the one people do hereby swear, by bond and oath, duly executed under penalty of perjury, secured for all beings in the world to rely on, that I do now accept the position of trustee and any and all of the fiduciary responsibilities, duties, and obligations thereto, thereof, and therewith, non-proton, to the one people's public trust, 1776, for its beneficiaries serving the one people. Now, that trust that she's referring to is Article 12 of the Articles of Confederation. That trust charged the United States, which was you, the United States of being, and pledged you under good faith to offset their original bankruptcy. Now, they did it again in 1794 with the Treaty of Amity, Commerce, and Navigation. They did it most recently. Most people are aware of bankruptcy of 1933, where everybody was maintained as a stock in the United States Incorporation. Now, what Heather is doing as an attorney is she's benefiting off of this by subscribing human beings as surety. She's using herself as a trustee, as a fiduciary. Look up the word fiduciary. Look at what she's doing. and you own mine. Now, from what I've read of the One People's Trust, this is the same thing that was established by the Articles of Confederation, October 15, 1977, and maintained under the League of Nations.
Well, one of the things that's missing in the previous filing was the Earth was identified as the superior trustee.
Okay,
the planet itself.
And that's something that does not belong to her, and that's something that I'll go into right now. The United States of America is a style, which means it's a chain of events. There is no allodial title or standing held by the United States of America or the United States of, Incorporated or by Heather to achieve because she's subscribing under that style. Now, allodial title comes from elsewhere. It doesn't come from charter, which is a contract between two people. You can't agree to take my land. You can't agree to take my estate. You can contract with each other to perpetrate human trafficking or privateering, whatever you're going to do, but you have no standing. Okay, she maintains that she has standing in her document.
You're talking about the Earth as though that it was land, and again in the filings it also identifies the Earth as a living being.
Absolutely, and that is what Jesus is. Jesus in Latin means your Earth. You are still being crucified by federal emergency and handed out by the League of Nations.
To chop up the Earth and land titles, that is slavery.
Right, but you do it yourself. And that's
you don't own any of the land. You don't own anything.
Well, you actually do until you start subscribing to the name.
We have a caller. You want to take a call?
Sure.
Let me get him on. 403.
Okay, let me get him on here. And
here we go, I think.
Hi there.
Hello.
Oh, can you hear me? Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, Bob?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm really excited for this opportunity to share my perspective and what I know so far about the what I consider the only conversation worth having. I've been listening to your group, Bob with Lisa, and the whole OPPT announcement, and I've been watching it as an observer, sort of watching how it came on the scene and how certain people glommed onto it and how they ran with it very irresponsibly, spiritually, I have to add. Okay, now, Heather speaks a lot of being and doing. And in my opinion, my perspective spiritually is kind of flip. It's a little bit vague, because spiritually speaking, there's a being aspect and there's a doing aspect, and they're not necessarily the same thing. And they certainly deserve a little bit of elaboration, if not a full life story and background, including all the synchronicities, paranormal events, and spiritual happenings that would justify her making a connection between a UCC filing, which is strictly in commerce, and way beyond most people's comprehension, to Prime, Creator. Now, what I'm seeing is a lot of people with good intentions that are running with a good idea, and you're not just resonating in your own heart. You guys are promoting it. And that's why I'm calling you on being irresponsible. And I'm totally with my sister Tammy right here on this point, because what could be a good thing for you could land a lot of people completely out of their league, filling out forms that they don't have any idea. Okay, now on the other side, to balance it, I'm a Freeman, and I'm a Canadian, ex-Canadian corporate slave employee, and I had the opportunity to fill out some UCC forms several years ago. Like, this isn't new. So for you guys to be all like, you know, I don't mean any disrespect, but, you know, the ego will sneak in there and own your ass, right? And you got some radio shows, you got some following, you got some fans, and, you know, you get together and you just, you know, present it like this is the answer. Well, the UCC, I heard Heather call it the Uniform Criminal something docket. And I don't know if she was being facetious or if it has a double meaning, but we know it's Uniform Commercial Code, and it's commerce, commerce, commerce all the way. And there's, you know, politics and commerce and spirituality are all one thing right now. It's all merging. And, you know, so we have the political aspect, the spiritual aspect, and the commercial aspect. And most people are completely out of their league in the commercial aspect. And this is what we're all trying to download this information and learn this. But this is not the way out for most people. Spiritually speaking, we have normal. What? No, I don't go to church. Or, yes, I do believe in, you know, and we have adepts and, you know, maybe some yoga classes involved. And we have people working on their masters, and I believe that's the majority. And, you know, there's probably a few avatars floating around. Now, you guys are promoting the OPP Trust, and I have chatted with Heather, and she acknowledged the Sunky Temple Trust. Now, this trust was established in 2009 and completely wiped out the UCC and all commerce, admiralty jurisdiction, anything, law of the sea, all these details, all this language bullshit from the system, and it hasn't caught up with us yet, apparently. But it's the Sunky Temple Trust. Now, I'm not promoting. I'm just sharing, being the Pleiadian I am, that there's more information. Now, I've tried to go to D, AK, Brian Kelly, and Ascension with Mother Earth, E, Inerchi, did post Sunky Temple Trust, 40 comments. I contacted Lisa and all of you that were promoting this directly as best I could, not to say, hey, choose Sunky Temple Trust, but to say, hey, the data isn't all in. What are you people doing? Running and imploring and inciting all these people that are maybe normal and adepts to, you know, go into anxiety, go into fear, you know, to try and figure out these forms. And, you know, it's the same as the old. And Kate's right. You know, did you notice that AK published Heather's email address on his website without the end of it, which anybody could figure out? It wasn't very wise. She could have been inundated. She certainly got a guess from me and got my email. And I know she got it because I did confirm it from another interviewer. And LLC is limited liability corporation. So what is she doing talking about Prime and talking about out of commerce when she's a corporation? That's a oxymoron, isn't it? Kate, help me out. There's something wrong with that. It's feeding the beast at the same time as, you know.
And here
for me, it's quite simple. For me, it's very, very simple. We're inviting you to play a different game. Walk away from the system.
Who's inviting who to play a different game? You're making a huge assumption, Bob. There's no different game. Tammy and I and others have been playing this game for a long time. We're not getting on the internet and inviting a bunch of normals and adepts to jump on board irresponsibly when you don't know the outcome. You're going to walk people in, like Tammy said, into, and not only that, it's a distraction, and all the data's in it. You've got 3 people that have not shown their face that are on alternative media. If this was as big as you believe that it is, you believe because you do not know yet. You can't possibly. There's not enough information. Okay? What you believe makes you a false prophet. Simple as that. And I'm with my sister Tammy for calling you on it. I'm sorry. But you speak with authority that you just don't know. And I love that you are saying, hey, Tammy, your stuff is all in commerce, and this is all about, because I like to say about the Sunky Temple Trust, Mary Jane Blackshear, who has a bloodline and a birthmark and science and a creation story and a lot of stuff to justify the take it back to Prime argument or whatever you want to call it, you know, other side. So I really love Tammy's information, because we are locked in until we understand that trust. Just because the Pope resigned, until we understand, because we're talking spells, we're talking energies, we're talking entities, we're talking energies, we're talking, beyond what most of us understand. So she's talking about an extra.
Happen, and this is something that I agree with. What needs to happen is full disclosure, absolute data on the table.
Okay, but that's not what we're talking about. We know that, okay? We know that. That's a generalization all of a sudden. We're talking about the specifics that your team, if I may, has been putting out there in a big way. You've made a bunch of assumptions, and you did everything but make the T-shirts. And we are calling you as light warriors, because we are at the interface here. Okay? So you need to be more responsible, and you don't have all the data, and you don't know what you're doing at all. Now, when I had a friend who has done the UCC and a whole bunch of other stuff.
The data is within
back to the Vatican. Pardon me, back to the Vatican. Now, he I know a lot of details, and when we started out together, I was lockstep with him. And at one point, he knocked at my door, and he had some more forms for me. And I looked at him, and I said, Andrew, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not jumping through any commercial Roman Empire loopholes. It doesn't feel right. My spirituality, something took over. So I'm with you, Bob and team, on the idea of being and doing, and but it's all mixed up. Everything's all mixed up. It's not clear. The being and doing. What is being and what is doing? Being is being who you are and being authentic and being honest and minding your own frickin' business, but sharing information in a neutral way, not emotionally engaged, emotionally amped up, right? We all got to call each other on this, right? That's being. Being is not doing. Being is waiting, or not waiting, but just allowing. You've already asked. We've all already asked. So we got to stop doing so that we can allow. That's part of manifesting, so that what we've asked for can actually land, can actually ground onto the earth, because we're actually not going anywhere else.
I agree.
We're actually merging. We're actually merging with the earth, with the sentient being. And yes, she is a living being. She's our mother. Okay?
Yes, I agree.
She's our mother in every sense of the word. We are each a cell, a complete cell, a micro cell organism on this entire collective organism known as humanity. She is our mother, and each of us are a cell, and each of our cells is a complete entity in and of itself. It has a digestive system, a heart, the whole bit, each. Okay? So it comes down to that. Each one of us has to go inside to the toroidal field and be our authentic self. Now,
exactly. And
now,
it
doesn't mean you lead people into a UCC form filling, because this game isn't over. In a way, spiritually, it's over. Now let's go to the doing. Now, true spirituality is it's effortless, and you're asking people to do a lot of effort. So, because you think you have an understanding, and you're there's lots of people listening, and these links are linked all over the place, and you get people that are normal and adept, and they're listening to people that have this all of a sudden authority. Where did that come from? I mean, I'm sure there's humility, but then there's this authority that people are going to pick up on, and they're going to run out and fill up some forms, and they're going to end up in jail. And then what are you going to do? What are you going to do, Bob? What are you and Lisa and the crew going to do about that? And don't even argue with me.
Okay, Tracy.
You're going to call Tammy.
Exactly. Now,
and then everybody else does. But the thing with the UCC filings now, what you're not realizing is that you are a sovereign state of being. We are each a nation of state, right? Each a nation of state. This is what Sunky Temple Trust. Tammy, let me just ask you just briefly, because Heather acknowledged Sunky Temple Trust. Have you ever heard of Sunky Temple Trust?
Yes.
No, not yet. However, with her filing under Uniform Commercial Code, she has no sovereignty.
Who doesn't?
She's a foreign state. With Heather, with what they're doing under the UCC
Okay, but I'm Heather, and those are two different trusts.
Guys, hang on, Tracy. Let's just move away from Sunky for a sec, because we're on a really cool trail here, and I
no,
really
totally.
need to.
I wasn't going there, Kate. Just so you know, I wasn't going there.
All right, just
One thing,
Bob, for a minute here.
One thing I want to say: we're not asking anyone to do any UCC filings. We're not asking anyone.
First of all, Bob, I got to interject right there. I have to. Who's we are not asking? First of all, do you see the authority there? We're not asking. There's a problem. You're defending a separate something. You shouldn't be defending. You should be conceding right now, actually. Because otherwise you're creating separation, and you're looking for argument. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
When I say we, I'm referring to me and my team, who you say we are so promoting. What we're saying is you don't need to do any filings. That's what that whole courtesy notice is about. If you want to, you can point to the filings that are already there. Okay? All we're asking you is to be. Because ultimately...
You realize how the Pope is claiming sovereignty right now? He's claiming immunity, okay? Do you realize that you cannot sue him because he's a foreign state and Heather's a foreign state? She's established his trust as a foreign state. A foreign state is one that acts under acts of commerce and private acts.
I'm not involved with the suit with the Pope, so I really can't speak to that.
Right. So you're going to blow it off, and you're going to still teach your doctrines that you're teaching, which, that's the mark on your forehead, right?
No, I'm just saying I'm not involved with that. I don't have all the details on it, so I can't speak to it.
Okay, so Bob, if nobody needs to file, then why is there any conversation about the UCC, which most people won't understand?
Okay.
Why then? If nobody needs to file.
The whole thing about nobody needs to file a UCC. And that's one of the things that we've been saying.
So why is everybody like Brian Kelly and American Kabuki and all these people, when I listen to it, it's sometimes, I got to tell you, we're getting to this equality thing and we want to be discerning and we want to hold back, but I just hear this, like, yeah, let's go, like, yeah, and there's just like, what is that about? What is it based on? If it's not based on a filing, you haven't met the woman face to face, you haven't had a coffee or a dinner with her, or the other people, you haven't really seen them. Like, tell me, what is all the excitement about? What are you all going that way for? Tell me, what?
It's what's within you.
We know that. You're assuming there's a whole bunch of us out here that don't have a spiritual aspect to us.
I understand.
So what is it? What are you calling it a trust for?
Please, let me finish. Okay?
You have no business calling it a trust.
What we are experiencing and the authority where it comes from is from within me. I'm saying within me, there is no other authority that I answer to, and I don't recognize
except the OPP Trust and Heather and crew are your new gurus.
No.
That's what you're doing then. Then why even use them as a tool? Because that does not add up.
Because not everybody is where I am, and a bridge must be formed.
No, not that bridge.
Where are
That's
you?
wrong.
I would like to ask that question because in the beginning of the conversation, you have stated to me on this show that you have not read all of the documents. You don't know what it says. Now, what are you teaching? How can you teach something that you are not a master of?
I have read all the documents.
You don't know what you're doing, Bob.
I have read all the documents.
Guys.
Admit it.
Guys, hang on. This is not about,
No,
Tracy,
sorry.
Tracy, you've made your point. I totally get it. I'm totally there. What we need to do, okay, is, be mindful and let Bob say his piece, and, whether, it's agreeable or otherwise, let him say his piece. Again, we're coming at this, all of us in this call are very educated people in this field, okay? Some specializing more in other ways and whatever. The only question that I will bring to this table right now is what Bob is saying is no one has to file anything. However, when someone is using documents based from the original premise of a filing that was done in the UCC is, by default, attached to that original filing because it falls under the same heading. It's like you're talking about, you're using part of that. Whether you're making a UCC file or not doesn't matter. The document, be it a courtesy notice or a piece of toilet paper, I don't care. It is part of that original filing. So you cannot say that they're not doing a UCC filing. They are by default of the original filing of the original document by the original OPPT trustees. So
absolutely. And what they've done is they've given up their sovereignty and immunity. And that's something that you need to be aware of, Bob, because as you go after the Pope, here he is, he's claiming immunity. He's not a sovereign state. He's operating under acts of commerce and private acts. A sovereign state acts upon public acts only. The restricted principle of sovereign immunity. He has no immunity, but because you're backed by the OPT operating under acts of commerce and private acts, you don't either. And there is no ability for you to sue a foreign state as a foreign state. You're doing the same wrong that they're doing.
And Bob, just to throw it back to you, because I have given this information to Lisa, before you guys ran with it this far, to say, just look at this. Look at what is established with the Sunke Trust, because it just so shows you that there could be other things yet to surface, right? So there's no reason we can't just be who we are and just chill, and instead of promoting anything that we think we got some insight on, or it sounds new and it sounds good. Like when I listen to Heather, it's just really incomplete. I mean, come on, it's just not complete. It's just like it doesn't mean there isn't some really good like moments in there, but to actually take some action and share it with other people in a way that this is it. And same with the spiritual stuff. You gotta be able to back it up a bit. I just like to. I would ask Heather. I asked her about the Sunke Trust, and she said the OPPT paves the way for Sunke Trust and other trusts. So there, has she ever brought that up? No, she's never brought that up on any other of the interviews I've heard, but she did say that to me in a chat room, specifically to me. And then another time I emailed her a question. I said, how, if you're a divine spiritual being out of the matrix, if you got it figured out, what's with the limited liability corporation and you're still locked into the corporation, into the commerce system? And she didn't answer that email. Now, there's something wrong with that. So, nothing against the gal at all. Everybody's got a little piece, but I just want you to just kind of listen to your shows and observe yourself and see how easy it is because we want solution. We're tired. We're fed up. We all want solution. We just want out, but just chill on it. At first I heard Tammy stuff and I'm like, whoa, I don't want to know anything about it. It's too much detail. It's too much commerce. It's too much information. It's over my head. I could never do it. I've been there and I kind of skimmed over that UCC stuff, like I said, and decided, no, I'm not doing it. But the spirituality and the spells and the energetic ties, they're all in there. So much data. We got to glean it. We got to just let's take it all in and let's share it, but let's not run with any one thing yet, because ultimately we're the slowpokes in this whole thing. Whatever's played out on the quantum level, right? We're just sort of catching up.
Earlier in the call, that's what I said. For some people, wait and see. Wait and look and what comes out and how.
Well, why are you making OPP T-shirts then?
That is what I am doing, and I invite.
Well, you guys
everyone.
are having conversations. You get downright giddy when Heather and her mom Lois get on the phone. I mean, come on. It's you know what? I mean, Brian Kelly, a journalist, give me a break. I mean, you guys are so happy about the idea, the concept, which is great. It's great that it's serving, that we're bringing it. I'm all about it. I'm all about the balance, that we're creators. There's so much reporting. So much information about what was and how we got ourselves all fucked up like this. And then we got to balance it out with being. Okay, that's, being, and then imagining and envisioning and bringing what we want. You know what Bashar teaches, you guys? And then I'll shut up for a second. But Bashar teaches we are not built, the physical mind is not built to figure out the how things are going to happen. It's only can figure out how things already happened. Tammy stuff, right? How it already happened, and that helps us heal, and that helps us detach and move on. But the physical mind can only do that. We are not supposed to know how. And when we get our ego in there with its limited capacity to figure out how, then we stay in these fucked up time loops and we don't evolve. Okay, so we're supposed to surrender the how. Let me just finish the sentence and I'm done. Surrender the how, okay, to the divine, to the source, to the creator. So all we do is amp up our light and our love and our intent, and we put that out, and we don't worry about the how, because that's an ego thing. The how is an ego thing. It's either a past thing, how we got here, but when it comes to the new and the creation and bringing it forth, that's a heart thing, and we don't dictate or even describe it, because that would be limiting creation, wouldn't it? So we can't do that. When we're truly integrated and in our heart, when we're tired of reporting, when we want to bring it forth, we go into creation, and that means we don't know. We don't know, and we're not going to say we know.
I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't know how. I don't know how.
Well, then you guys got to stop selling OPPT and Heather, because until I have a glass of wine with that woman, stop talking about it. I mean, she's got a business, she's a lawyer, she's a corporation, she's anonymous, there's rumors, and this is a time of transparency, and there's no room for doubt, okay? Jimmy Buffett. Let's listen to the song. I mean, really, Tammy is bang on. Like, people have to understand this, what we've done. Like, some of us, I feel like I don't have to jump through all those documents and hoop, because I'm a spiritual being, and I have a direct source, and I don't, I just have my own thing. But it's not our responsibility to carry the normal and the depths because we're working on our masters. It's not our responsibility. That's actually interfering. You're actually interfering. I want you guys to see that, because somewhere along the line, I don't know, it wasn't just the Pleiadians disseminating information. It was egos getting in there and owning it. So, when it comes to the light community, we've got the warriors on the front line at the interface, going into the dark places and really flushing it out, the fearless ones that have been doing it for many lifetimes. We got the workers. We got the holders. The holders stay close to home. They're not really that active, but man, they pump it out, and when you're in their presence. They're just all about love, and it's unconditional, without a doubt. You just met them. You've had an issue, without a doubt. And the workers are having issues. The workers' egos are getting in there and saying, hey, I'm aware, so therefore I'm, well, then there's a wake. And everything out there is a reflection of what's inside. It's all our shadow. So, it's really hard, the judgment, all of it. But it's all, we got to hold each other up while we purge and puke out all the freaking venom and poison and toxic pain, because it's the interface now. It's all going to happen really quick. I've been downloading this shit and going through this for many, many years, but a lot of people are going to go through it in a period of months and weeks. And we got to get our shit together and hold the light so we can be there. And the details don't matter. It's a lot. You want to know the law? Align with universal law, which is nature. Okay? It's lawful to grow weed in your backyard, but it's illegal. That's simple. Okay? If it's aligned with nature, do it. If it's aligned man-made, anything, commerce, UCC, all those files, all that teaching, forget about it. That's the simplest way to break through this, how to do it.
Isn't that what I said right in the beginning of the call? I said, all you really have to do is be the UCC filings really don't even matter.
Okay.
I said that right.
The trust doesn't matter.
Okay, Tracy,
it is not a matter.
Tracy, let Tammy go for a bit. It's her show, eh?
And what?
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry, Tammy. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm just concerned about the comment about wait and see what it does. Well, what you're doing on a wait and see basis is you're gathering sheep, the flock, as a shepherd. You have no clue what you're promoting. It's promoted by an attorney. And in gathering those flocks, aren't you a false shepherd? You are maintaining them as human fodder or guinea pigs on a wait-and-see basis.
If anyone has ever listened to me, and if you followed me or my radio show, you will hear that I've always said, you must follow what is inside you.
Right, and wait and see what happens.
You must follow what is inside you. I only follow my heart. I follow where that energy takes me.
And are you sure it's your heart? Because you're following this female, and this type of female...
No, I'm not following any... I am following my heart.
And what this society relies on is that aspect of representation, and that's my whole point. Now, if you're following an attorney because you are maintaining an
I am not following an attorney. I'm not following anyone. I am following my heart, and that what resonates with it.
Okay, now I'm going to explain something on a generalized basis to the people who are listening to this program. When you are following or being led somewhere by a representation or otherwise, this is an ego stroke. Okay, I've dealt with this for years and years and years and years. I've ran into people. I paid $30,000 for my attorney. I paid $20,000 for this expert witness. Okay, they're ringers for the court, but it makes you feel good because you're paying money for these people to represent you. This is an ego stroke. I can afford this when my neighbor cannot. Okay, an ego stroke is also hanging around or chumming up with attorneys or psychologists or those that are famous or whatever else. This is called the setup or posturing for failure. Now, as I've gone through the OPT, it appears to me to be a posturing attempt to maintain under cognitive dissonance. Because what happens is you have a bunch of sheeple that follow a certain thing, a program, for example, the Fatherhood Coalition. The Fatherhood Coalition is there as a posture attempt to take out men's rights. Well, how are they going to do that? Well, what they do is they put in men's rights movement, a whole bunch of pedophiles, and they don't come out until they're outed later. But the people following these people fall with them. And it was the same thing as Larry Craig or any other representation. You follow these people as sheeple, maintaining under the guise of human ease, because it's easy to be represented. It's easy to hand over $1 to be represented. It's easy to accept that ego stroke, to chum up with a psychologist or a psychiatrist or somebody famous. But you fall very, very hard, and you fall very, very fast. And the premise of this is that when you do fall, because you're relying on somebody else, is you go straight back onto the other father eventually. Now, in my process, we teach the self-realization, actuality, relativity, and truth. What this means is that you're standing on your own, you cannot possibly fall, and you're no longer within the bounds, the fencing mechanism of cognitive dissonance, requiring that you fall back on the other father. This cuts out the other father. Now, what you are teaching is based on the words of somebody else. This is what Jesus was so against. And he said, you will be marked by your works and actions and by the doctrines that you teach. You are indoctrinating people by the doctrines that you teach. Your forehead is marked by the mark of the beast because you are purchasing laws from the beast, who is the law merchant.
Okay.
Law merchant selling you your rights, your benefits.
I'm not teaching anyone, and I'm not trying to be a leader of anyone. What I would say to anyone, don't walk in front of me, I may not follow you. Don't walk behind me, I may not lead. Walk beside me, be my friend, that's fine.
Hey, Bob, you mentioned you're a radio host, right?
Yeah, co-host.
Co-host. Oh, no, he's still your host. Host, co-host, doesn't matter. If you're on the air, you're on the air. Bottom line, brother. You see, here's the thing that I take very, very seriously as a radio host and co-host, depending on the night. I have a great deal of responsibility to those that are listening to the shows that I have, that I give them the best information that I possibly can and not ever lead them down one trail or another. I will teach them to serve. That's why I do not chase and serve any factions whatsoever, because every revolution will be led by the elites. It's their own words. And that's what I'm always wary of, because when you find something that resonates with your heart, and I'm not doubting that it does, Bob, I'm sure that it does. I take people at their word. The unfortunate part about this is most people, they think they're going to be following their heart, but what they're actually following is the hope and the ego that says, I found a new savior. Now, people like you, Bob, myself, Tammy, Tracy, Tony, Santo, the rest of us, we know better. Okay, because we've been there. Okay, we've been the follow the leader types, at a young age, and then all of a sudden we broke free of that. However, what we're dealing with here are the masses that may not necessarily, for the most part, have that skill yet. And unfortunately, what happens when we get on the air, and I mean me and everybody else, when we get on the air and we start spewing, whatever it is that comes out, there are people listening, looking for guidance. I know I get messages all the day, thank yous, and love the perspective and blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line is this, I still have a responsibility to them to make sure that what I'm telling them is something that I'm not selling them. I will share what I do, and I make this very clear in every show. When I sent out my invocation of the Clausula Rebus Sextantibus at Christmas time, that was mine. And when I sent copies of it around, it had my name on it with all my information because it was what I used. If someone wants to go out and rewrite it and do something with it, if they resonate and do something, fine. But that becomes their process. I will not follow anyone else's process because, I'm tired of hearing the stories. Well, I did so-and-so's process and I got put in jail. No, you didn't. You followed what you thought was so-and-so's process by your interpretation and you fucked up. So that was your process. So this is what I'm getting. This is what we have to be mindful of. And we got to be very careful with our passions. Very careful because we can hurt a lot of people and we can help a lot of people too. So
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying, Kate. And one of the things I make a point whenever I'm speaking is, please, this is what I'm getting out of it. Look at it yourself. Read it yourself. If it resonates with you, fine. This is what I'm getting out of it. And I've always said that, and I believe everyone on our panel has. And yes, we are excited because it does resonate with what we want and what we see.
Right.
And we've been looking and watching and sharing what our journey through the process of learning and putting information together and putting puzzle pieces together to see what it looks like.
Right, but you're still on the OPPT platform. I'm on the Kate of Gaia platform, is what I'm saying. I do not alloy myself with any other metals. I am a purist. What I do is what I do. And
actually, OPPT is just one of the shows I do.
Well, no,
I do OPPT. I'm on Collective Imagination. I'm also on Freedom Reigns, and I do a show in Italy. It's just I'm sharing my journey, and there are different forums and different settings, and even this one is a different forum in a different setting. All I can share is my story.
Right, but be careful when you're sharing that story that you're not selling someone a bill of goods, whether you think you are or not. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So let's move on. Let's just move on. I've got to go in about 5 minutes. I've got a webinar to do tonight. But you know what, guys? The bottom line is let's have a look at what's going on within this. And I need, if you guys would be very wise to pay heed to what Tammy is trying to share.
Well, no, I'm not. What I'm saying is she's really got to speak with Heather because I can't answer the question that she's asking about. I can't.
Sad. And to put you in this position was very, very. To me, it's not only an embarrassment to us, but to you as well, because she declined our offer to come on the show. She didn't want to come on and speak the truth. She didn't want to come on and be broken apart or describe what UCC is or to talk about the bullshit aspect, because as an attorney, she's claiming that you, under the trust, are natural person. Natural person is a surety. Now, this is the same game that is being replayed again and again and again and again. Now, this isn't your fault. I'm not blaming you. However, I do blame you if you go ahead and teach this, because then that's your onus. That is your intent. You need to read through those documents very, very carefully and find out what she's actually doing, because what she's doing is not your intent. I believe that you are good. I believe that Chris is good. I believe you both have good intentions. I don't believe that Heather has good intentions. I believe that she's an attorney. I know that she's an attorney. Now, we're not on here to speak about rumors. I am speaking on this level from what I've read on the OPT site, what I've read of her oaths, what I've read of the UCC filings. This is all under Actions of Commerce. Now, if you subscribe to this trust as a citizen of the United States of America or RED, you are giving up your sovereignty.
No, that's not what, and that's another thing. I think there's a misunderstanding. Really, there's a misunderstanding going on, obviously, here, because no one is asking to subscribe as a citizen of anything. Absolutely not. And I would shudder for anyone to do that.
Heather's oath on the OPT site subscribes her as a United States citizen, United States of America citizen.
Okay, you're going to have to point to the line where you're reading, and
first paragraph of her oath. I read it a little bit ago.
It said nothing. I didn't even see the word citizen in there.
She claims to swear an oath to the United States of America.
It said domicile by choice on the state of Washington, United States of America, the original organic venues and jurisdiction of the one people.
Yeah, which United States of America?
Under the League of Nations. Now, this is something that
there's a definite difference between being in the state and to being on the state.
And swearing an oath to it.
No, that is the domicile by choice on the state.
What?
Her living, breathing person, the living, breathing person.
Are you speaking about an election? You're speaking about the doctrine of elections here. Now, under the doctrines of election, you get one, a right, or one, a benefit. You don't get both. You are subject, or a subject, of that Constitution that she's referring to.
No. No,
okay.
I am...
Because the word usage that she used speaks that she's a citizen of the United States of America. She's swearing an oath to the United States of America on behalf of however many people join up with this trust, and it's the same goddamn thing that's happening now.
See, I don't see that. I don't see that in the language. And again,
okay. Then you need to go read Black's dictionary or whatever you need to do. But you need to stop teaching this until you realize what those documents are and what they say, what they're subscribing to, and what they're teaching in them.
Again,
now, we're here to present a cure. We're here to help humanity, correct? I mean, that's your intentions, right?
All of us are, yes, I believe we're all on the same side here.
Okay. Then what you need to do is you need to disseminate and use discernment, because you're following something that's leading people down the same path they're on now under the United States of America and the United States Incorporated, run by corporate structure. Now, we've all seen the Pope is retiring. We're all seeing that he's claiming immunity. Stop for a moment. If you're a sovereign state, you can hold him accountable. If you're a foreign state, you cannot hold him accountable. That's the only thing you need to get your head around. He is not a sovereign state. He has no immunity under the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act. He has no immunity under the restricted principle of sovereign immunity. Okay? You're going to let this go. You're going to say, oh, shucks, can't do nothing. My hands are tied here. No. You can follow through, but you have to be maintaining as a sovereign state, which means you have to be upholding the public law. If you go into court and you ask somebody to charge somebody with, say, for example, my rape. Say I get raped tomorrow. Under the Violence Against Women Act, I can only be injured or put into law now, so I get a pimp. This is commerce. These are acts of commerce, private acts that maintain this, that I can only be injured. But under public law, I could be harmed. You need to wrap your head around what she is presenting on OPT. She is an attorney. She is maintaining as people, human beings, are sureties or natural persons. Only a natural person can be a surety. You need to read these things. You need to realize what those say. Because what you're teaching is a fallacy, And what you're teaching is marking your forehead, not hers. This falls on you.
I understand what you're saying. I understand that.
Don't understand me. Don't understand anything. Comprehend things and realize them, but don't understand them.
Okay, guys, I got a jet here. We got about 7 minutes left or so. Bob, I want to thank you for coming on, and it's too bad Chris's computer got hacked there. But no, I want to thank you for coming on. I know your heart's in the right place, my friend. We're only interested in getting down to the nitty-gritty because most people don't understand the true etymology and the true breakdowns and the true meanings of what these sentences that people throw around willy-nilly are. Fortunately or unfortunately, I do, Tammy does, and many others do, and it goes much deeper than most people can comprehend. So I'm going to leave it on that, but I did want to say thank you so much to you and Chris for coming on tonight, and thanks Tammy and Pat for tolerating my presence yet again. I love you. And Tracy, thank you for jumping in, and Tony. Okay, guys, so much love to you, and be on the air tomorrow night.
You're invaluable, Kate.
Have my moments, you know. But hey,
boy.
we're on the air tomorrow night with Syncretism with Jordan Maxwell, Santo, and Tony and myself. And as far as I know, Jordan's going to make it. And I know it's an open night, really. So, but anyway, you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Awesome. Be well. Love you, sister.
Love you too, guys. And
have a good webinar.
Oh, I will. We'll have some fun talking about Darkest Before the Dawn, baby. And we're here. Okay.
Yeah.
Love to everyone listening. Catch you all tomorrow night. Good night.
Be well.
Thanks, Kate.
And I do thank you for coming on, Bob and Chris. Hopefully next time we can have Heather on and we can have an actual discussion where, we can see where she's coming from. You can see where she's coming from, although I find that highly doubtful. Attorneys do not like to speak to me one-on-one normally, and I'm sorry for this. What
but
we'll
you
do
stayed the course. Bob stayed the course. That's really, really good. That's his heart is obviously in the right place.
Absolutely.
It would just be wonderful to actually, put side by side, chop this up, and really let everybody see, in depth what exactly it is and what the meaning of it is.
And I find them beautiful. Before the show, we were talking about it, and I was going through the League of Nations and little things, and things were clicking, and, they were unaware. And I didn't want to sideline them during the show, but I do need them to be aware of what's happening and why certain programs or certain trusts or certain things are established according to posturing, and what happens after the posture, why the posture happens, and why we find ourselves constantly in the same position we're in right now. Next week's lineup, I think we're going to do current events again. I'm not sure who we're going to have on yet, but we'll figure it out this week. Pat, what tonight we were going to also speak about health, and I wanted you to do your thing because so many people are suffering now from various ailments and everything else, and they just need to know just little things. What is the most important thing in your mind people need to be realizant of as to health and taking care of oneself?
Well, I think most people are pretty aware, to filter your water if there's any way to possibly do that. If you're stuck with municipal water, there's, the fluoride in there, believe it or not, 20-multein borax is actual borax. It's mined. It's mined from the Mojave Desert. You can use I think it's a half-quarter of a teaspoon in like a gallon of water, and this has been known to remove fluoride. It, helps the pineal gland not to become calcinated, and boy, that actually has amazing arthritic help. I mean, I have a really good document on that. I was going to share that today too. Other than that, magnesium is something that everybody's deficient in, and if you can get that in, let's see, anything but magnesium oxide, pretty much. You can use Epsom salts to absorb it in through the skin in 20 minutes in a hot tub. You can throw a pound of baking soda in there. That helps to alkalinize you. Lugol's iodine, basic iodine. We're being robbed the fluoride and various halides that we absorb from the environment blocks the uptake of iodine to the thyroid. The thyroid in the breast actually takes the most of, or needs it the most, but every cell in your body needs iodine. So you can actually make this yourself. There's a guy that shows you how to do that on YouTube. Lugol's, L-U-G-O-L-S, iodine. It's not the same as the stuff for boo-boos that you get off the store shelf. There's lots of information on that. Iodine for health, I think, is what it's called, .com. If you Google it, start page it, you can find a lot of information. Vitamin C, those are probably the basics